My ex, F22, cheated on me, M21, with my childhood best friend, M21. So, here's my story about how I lost the love of my life, C, and my best friend, J, all in one day. It all started when I met C in grade 5, and I had a crush on her for years, never gaining to talk to her or anything as I was just figuring out these feelings. Plus, I knew I was an introvert from the beginning, barely having any real friends besides a small group of 4. One of them being my best friend, Jay. We did everything a kid could do together, go camping, something I didn't like but was fun with him, play video games, board games, sleepovers, all those things, and thought of him as a brother. It was he who had the courage to add her to put friend group. We grew closer as we got older. It was only in grade 9 that me and C were starting to get closer as friends. During high school, when we were both in grade 10, I finally gained the courage to ask C out, and to me surprise and happiness, she said yes. Our first date was amazing as I took her out to her favorite restaurant, which wasn't really expensive but did have a big bill. Then we went skating as she has always loved that, and that was one of the best memories I've ever had. Over the next 4 years, we had the best relationship, or at least what I thought was the best. It was only during year 3 of our relationship that C wanted to go the next level. And so did I, but I was just so nervous about it that I never realized what was happening between my GF and BF until it was too late. I was also stressed from the SATs that I didn't have enough time to spend with her either. It all came to screeching halt when I not only passed my SATs. My nervous about having sex went away with the letter, and I walked to her apartment to tell her the great news. I entered the elevator to go to her floor and walked to her door when I noticed it was open slightly. And so in a panic, I opened the door myself, not thinking straight and thinking she was in trouble, but found nothing. I walked around the apartment, but eventually I noticed the trail of clothes leading up to her bedroom door. If those weren't obvious, then the moans and screams of pleasure were. That was until I noticed a jacket on the ground, the very same one I gave Jay on his 18th birthday. I saw only red when I thought that and barged into her room, where they were both shocked at my interruption. But C soon screamed in terror as I pulled Jay off of her and started beating him. I was never a violent person growing up, but this rage and betrayal turned me into someone I hope I could never be again. It's been 2 weeks since I caught Jay and C together, and I have been ignoring every message they sent me, every call and voicemail they made, and have even ignored their family's attempts at getting me to speak to them. I couldn't stand to be in the same room with them anymore. Every time I think of them, I just remember that day when I caught them. Hope you guys have any advice about what I should do next with them, because I don't. Update. So, here's my update on my situation. Sorry this took a bit, but I decided to just look at the future for myself now after everything that's happened. So, onto the update. As many of you pointed out, I had to get the truth about our breakup before the two of them vilify me. To my and possibly your surprise, they didn't say anything about me, but they also didn't out themselves. The two of them kept quiet about the whole thing, and I couldn't stand that. Watching as if nothing happened between the 3 of us. So, I contacted as many of our mutual friends as I could to tell them. Some believed me, others thought I was in the wrong, and a few were indifferent, but all looked at Jay and C differently after that day, as I had many details of what they did while those POS fucked. After I outed the 2 of them, I realized I needed to get away from the city. I lived here my whole life, but I had to get away. I just couldn't stand being close to C and Jay anymore. I was simply getting boxes of my stuff ready to move when I could, and I hear a knock at the door, and wouldn't you know, C was standing right outside. Her eyes just bloodshot, and looks like she hasn't slept in days. I barely opened it for her anyways, so I just rudely asked, "What are you doing here?" Because I'm not about to be gracious towards her, and never will again. She asked to be let in to talk for a minute, and I decided to do so, but not to take her back, to just hear the excuses I know she'll come up with. She started to cry, asking for forgiveness, and wanted to explain why she did what she did. I kept a straight face and didn't say a word while she was speaking. She told me how she felt neglected cause of the lack of sex between us, which I guess is true. She went on to say that Jay comforted her and slowly began to fall for him as the days went on, and one thing led to another, and I had caught them soon after they became physical. After she was done, I told her that if she fell for Jay, all she had to tell me was that she wanted to break up, and I would have accepted them getting together afterwards, but they didn't do so. Instead, I saw my first love in bed with my best friend. I told her I was moving away after this, that I couldn't stand being in the city anymore with C and J or their family, but I didn't tell her where, because I don't want her to follow me. I saw the tears flowing even faster as she heard that. Guess she thought that we could reconcile after what happened. Well, sorry, C, but I got other plans and take you back. After that, I just held on to her hand. She gained a hopeful look in her eyes and led her to the door before pushing her out. She turned towards me, pure sadness in her eyes. I'll never love you again. Go back to Jay. I'm sure he'll be happy to accept you fully. After all, he already did so. I slammed the door in her face after that and heard her crying outside, but didn't care and just continued to relax and pack my stuff. As for Jay, well, never bothered with him again, didn't speak to him, didn't respond to any of his messages, nothing. I'm done with them, and nothing will change that. So, that's my update. Nothing too big, but hey, don't really care right now to make this my whole life story. So, goodbye and have a nice day.
This was so incredibly sad. I hope he heals from this heartbreak and finds a loyal friend and a relationship that isn't filled with cheating and deceit. What are your thoughts? Share below.